part of being a professional hunter and an outfitter is to understand the real purpose behind conservation and kind of not discriminate against any sort of animals that we see out there, and really just take one that we find best fit for conservation purposes. We find ourselves here on the outskirts of Stutterheim and affiliated with one of probably the guys in the leading end of conservation in South Africa. And we come up on this beautiful old bull, Roan, and unfortunately, due to whatever circumstances, whether it might be fighting in the rut or whatever the case may be, he had lost the left-hand side of his horn. And to discriminate that animal against what is particularly a wonderful conservation story, because he's a wonderfully old animal, he's got such unique characteristics, and it builds a story, and that's ultimately what we want to get to, is building a story, telling a story, and grabbing our conservation landmark and putting foot or stamping our authority on conservation, so these species can thrive for many, many generations to come. So we find this wonderful old roan bull, and he tries to link up with the herd every now and then, but keeps getting pushed out obviously by the new, younger and more dominant bull. We've seen him a couple of times now, and we're probably about 3 days into the safari. And ultimately, thinking as a conservationist, this is the ideal animal to take and to look after, to preserve and conserve for future generations to come. Regardless, I mean, if we're going to put a price tag on the perfect animal, we're never going to thrive and achieve what we all set out to do, and that's preserve and conserve these species. So finding this bull, he's got all the wonderful characteristics, and it's just such a unique way on hunting this animal. And we get into a wonderful position, and the stalk really works out well. We find ourselves in incredible conditions, and everything just kind of linked together and kind of told the story that this animal deserves to be told. And ultimately, Cody placed one of the best shots of the safari, and Cody fortunately bringing this animal down with one shot, and it gets to add to his storybook now. It's been stamped and engraved in a conservation book that will last for many, many generations, because that's what we do as conservationists. We don't add a certain value to any life out there. If we're going to see trophies as just being the perfect symmetrical two-horned animal out there, then we've really gone a long way from what we're actually meant to achieve. And kudos to Cody, kudos to Utando Safaris for setting this whole thing up and really stamping their authority on conservation. It was a very, very special moment.